Hello, it's Rob Maroszek with All Energy, Director for All Energy Australia and Australasia. Look, this is just a brief presentation basically outlining the type of technology that we use and the panels that we manufacture and produce, as well as some of the technical advantages that we'd like to outline. Obviously, this is not really going into too much technical detail. There are separate presentations for that. And I will definitely invite you to take a look at those and basically ask us any kind of questions that you might have. But I'll try to basically be about 10-15 minutes max. And here we go. As outlined in some of the other presentations, our focus is on technology, and we're always looking at high efficiency, and high efficiency basically applies to every single process and every single step of the process that we apply ourselves into. And due to our integrated production capacity, we are actually focusing every single part of the process. So it's not only cells, not only modules, module manufacturing, every single component that comes into the module manufacturing, whether it's EVA, whether it's backsheet, whether it's aluminum framing that we actually use, but pretty much every single thing that we can think of. And that's the kind of thing that should really matter to our clients and basically our partners. We do have a continuous R&D focus. There's a separate presentation for that, and every single step of the way when it comes to R&D, when it comes to the actual process, we always look at every single market that we serve. So we not only produce something that would be suitable only for large scale and industrial, but also every single type of market, including home and even small scale type of installations. But as we know, over time they actually become quite homogeneous. So they pretty much apply to every single type of installation and range of installation. Now, as of now, when we're looking at our top model, basically 260 watt mono module, at this point we've reached 18.7% efficiency of the actual cells. So that's something that we're definitely proud of, and we're definitely looking at achieving even higher results. That's definitely something that's in the works. Obviously our production capacity is also something that every single client and partner should take into account. We do have capacity now exceeding 150 megawatts per year, and very, very soon we'll be looking at a lot more. Now, if you look at our integrated production, obviously, as I mentioned, it is very important when you look at a tier 1 type of producer, manufacturer, and distributor that we actually take part in every single process along the way. So including the polysilicon that we acquire, going all the way to ingots, or so-called cast ingots, that basically being part of the process, and then looking at the actual manufacturing process and the slicing to basically get the wafers, and then looking at another part of the process which basically allows us to put together the solar cells. And then the additional process, which is mostly automated as we would like it to be, and quite sterile and really advanced, to actually acquire and manufacture solar modules. Now, obviously, I did mention that we also look at systems. I should only mention that due to our experience in EPC and EPCM, we actually advise on bigger projects when it comes to other components, not only the actual panels, but also all the other components that come into play. All right, so let's take a look at the first process component of the actual chain. It's basically acquiring polysilicon and forming it into ingots, and sometimes called cast ingots. Obviously, I will not go into much detail when it comes to the actual structure of monocrystalline structures and polycrystalline or multicrystalline structures. That's something definitely for another presentation, and I'm sure that everyone who's listening, who's in the know, is already well aware of that particular process, but we look at it from a very high-tech standpoint. Now, the other obviously step is taking the ingots and then manufacturing them in a very high-tech way, possibly sterile and automated way to actually produce wafers. Obviously, we do produce multicrystalline, polycrystalline wafers as well as monocrystalline, and we're looking at two different sizes, which are pretty much standard: 125 by 125 millimeter and 156 by 156. The 156 is pretty much a standard that we typically use in the industry as of now, and the thickness of the wafers that we can bring out currently is about 180 to 220 microns. There's definitely some new technology when it comes to slicing and achieving wafers that are a lot thinner, closer to even as low as about 100 microns. But that's definitely something that's in our R&D process, not really in production right now. And now that we have the next step, which is basically going from wafers to the actual cells, please keep in mind that basically efficiency and quality and bankability and longevity is something that also comes from the actual manufacturing process, and that's something that's kept very sterile and very advanced. We're using advanced equipment, which I'll basically outline a little bit later on at the end of the presentation, and we do have strict KPI regime, which we basically keep to make sure that every single step of the process is kept intact. Now, we do use a particular type of diffusion process which is quite unique, and that brings a little bit more efficiency as well. Also, there is a bit of extra light trapping. This is not really state-of-the-art. There are some other companies that use that as well, of course, but we use PECVD film as part of the manufacturing process between the wafers and the cells. And obviously the film printing, that's pretty much standard when it comes to the actual manufacturers that are as integrated as us. Now, before I go into the actual equipment, I'll just mention that the actual module production is obviously the very important step of the way, and we do that as well. Obviously, if we look at every single part of the component, whether it's glass, whether it's EVA, whether it's a backsheet, whether it's the actual type of aluminium, we adhere to the strictest standards, and also did acquire a lot of certifications when it comes to ammonia resistance, salt resistance, when it comes to the actual wind and deep snow type of resistance, etc., etc., etc. That's definitely something that we look at when looking at longevity and bankability of the actual product. Now, coming back to equipment, we obviously really believe that having state-of-the-art equipment and state-of-the-art facility is key to being Tier 1. And just a couple of companies, we use Dispatch when it comes to the actual baking furnaces, and a furnace that we're looking at is Sapphire. It's pretty much in research right now. It'll probably be used for research and ready for production very soon. And we do have a continuous focus. There is, like as I mentioned, a separate production for that and a separate presentation for that as well. And we are dedicated to really being ahead of the curve. And obviously, the certifications that we have are not only your basics, the Cs and TUVs, but also TUV Nord, and we're looking at particular types of markets that we serve. And for example, in Australia, we're looking at, in the north, at particular types of certifications that would make the modules and panels more resistant to a cyclone type of atmospheric pressures, etc., etc. We're also looking at Northern Europe and potentially hail resistance as well. Now, The best way to take a look at what we have to offer is basically to ask for a copy of our digital or a printed copy of our catalog and data sheet. I'll just briefly skip over this and skim over this simply because obviously you've seen many of those before, but there is no negative power tolerance. There's only positive power tolerance. There is the mechanical strength and static loading certification and resistance. We do use a 3.2 tempered glass basically on top of the actual panel. And we do offer a linear performance warranty up to 25 years and actually exceeding the industry required of 80% at 25 years and 90% at 10 years. And the actual panel is easy to install due to the actual design of the actual aluminium frame that goes around the actual panel. The type of modules that we have in production are pretty much standard, so I won't really go into much detail when it comes to that. I did mention the positive power tolerance. We do have a pretty good temperature coefficient. Obviously, the actual ratings and are ready for US market as well as European market. And we do have a pretty low weight overall of the actual module, right around 19 kilograms. The standard size of the actual module is pretty much standard. That's basically polycrystalline or multicrystalline, which is very, very similar, except for a bit even lower temperature coefficient, which is to be expected basically from multicrystalline. And that's pretty much it. So I do apologize. I was a little bit brief, and if you have any other questions when it comes to details, obviously we would love to talk to you and make sure that you feel confident about us. And thank you very much for listening. It's Rob Maroszek with All Energy.